Hi Ruby, how you doing? Welcome in. We'll just let people come in and we'll get started. True crime grows here too. All right. I thought I set it for like an hour. Came fast. Let me know if I'm saying your name right, okay? Is it Louise? Like almost French? Or is it French, I think? Louise? Okay, cool. Sorry about mispronouncing it all those other times. Yeah, I mean, I want to be able to, correctly say my mod's name, but I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So yeah, the subject. I'm just catching up on a lot of the new articles that came out with the case. I'm sure some of you have heard it or not, but I haven't, and I wanted to go straight to the source. So I know the Long Beach Post and the Sun, so credit to them. They came out with those articles. So I'll pull that up. We'll see how the laptop holds up. It's No, I haven't heard that. True crime. I will definitely look into that. Just catch up on the chat. Oh, is it really? Well, I'm glad you told me that. See, that's the thing. Like when I go live, I want to do some research, and um, go into the sources and things like that. And what's funny is like that one of the where the interview came out for Jake. I mean, that's a really good like uh, article. And so I typed in Jake Haro confession, and like nothing came up. So that's interesting. I'm not knocking anybody out, but I mean, I just haven't heard anything from other sources or anything like that. And I'm sure that guy Brian Enton, I'm sure he trusts his source and he believes his source, and that's fine too. But I mean, look at the sources that when supposedly his baby Manuelito's body was found, they trusted that sources too, and it wasn't true. So I try to just because you can get wrapped up into it and just want to be the first, to break news, and I get it, but then that's sometimes it just doesn't go according to whatever you were saying. Yeah, I did watch it. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. It's very heavy, very psychological heavy. Um, so it's I got to hear it like a few more times to understand it when it comes to that kind of thing, like psychology and yeah, it was pretty cool. It's pretty in depth. I might play it in a bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're good people. You can tell. Mark, I trust my brother that the ones that the sergeant in California, and I'm sticking to my story that the guy had to say something to the detectives in order to go out and show them an area. The guy had to say something. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean I'm sure he told law enforcement something to have them go out there, and what he told them we don't know yet. Um, yeah, but it's interesting, right? I mean, they didn't find anything out there. They had cadaver dogs and everything, so but but yeah, I know what you're saying for sure. True crime girl. He had to have said something for them to go out there. Hey, Ryan. Jake's saying something to the officers. He had to. They're not going to just take an inmate out of jail and go to a place to go check something out. He had to have said something. Oh, yeah. Yeah. What that something is, we don't know, right? Yeah, and see, that's the other thing too. Is like the guy's a liar. He's a manipulate, as we'll see in a second. And so, but the thing with that is like there's some truth to those lies. With killers and things like that. There's some truth to those lies, and it's kind of up to us to see through that. But I don't know. It's when I was out there, I saw the way it was, the trail. Um, I don't know. It just didn't seem like reasonable. It, in my opinion, whether or not he said something, yeah, that could be true, but just something being there. It's just, I mean, they didn't find anything. They had cadaver dogs. They had searchers out there, and on the other side of that too, there's been cases where The body was found after searchers had been there before. There's a lot of cases like that too. So there's that one too. You know, there's places where, you know, animals can get the body, take it up to a location because, you know, searchers are around. Once the searchers are gone, they come back to the body. That's happened before. In my opinion, whatever it was, he said was a dang lie because they still haven't found a body and he's playing around with him. In my opinion, just so he thinks he's in charge. Yeah, you know, still manipulating, still trying to be in control. So he seems like the type of person that wants to be in control. He's an experienced child abuser. Yeah. Hey Mustang, good to see you. Let me go into the what the let me see 1 second, because I don't want to show too much of his face. There's like a huge picture of him, and I don't want to post it on here. Well, I don't want to, you know what I mean? I'd rather not. So let me go through that. Rome, that I've asked myself that too, and he's probably had abuse growing up, in my opinion. Just trying to set up my share screen. Sometimes StreamYard Studio crashes because I just don't have enough memory in this laptop to keep up with me. I'm beating the computer. Let me see. Yeah, we'll actually yeah, we'll send it. I'll send it after the live, or if you can send it after the live, that'll be good. That way we can just focus on this. Or you know me, you know, like towards the end of the live. That way, after we're done with this, they can check that out. So I appreciate you sending me that, Louise. Okay, I'm trying to share my page. Okay, there we go. So this is Margarita Avina. That's Jake's ex-mother-in-law. Her daughter, Vanessa Avina. And it's the son. The son was reporting on them. I'll get the name of the reporter in a bit. I just don't want to scroll up and there's like a huge picture of Jake. I don't want that to be pop up in my live. See, here's a map. See how everything's straight? There was a cops allegedly called to the property of right here next to that. I got to look into that because I think that's what happened in the presser. The sheriff who said that a day before Jake called the cops regarding something. So There's the abduction spot, search area right there, banning the rest. So the arrest, search area, and then the property. So that's pretty interesting, right? And then up top is the abduction spot. It's like they were trying to separate themselves from these three spots. That's very interesting right there. So I'm going to read this right here, and then it goes into what Margarita was saying. And wow, let's just jump in right into it. They told police he was kidnapped from the parking lot. Yeah, we knew that. Okay. Okay, October. Okay, yeah, here we go. Here we go. An officer wrote an affidavit for a warrant that the findings were indicative of abuse, head trauma, child physical abuse, and nutritional neglect. Jake reportedly blamed the baby's injuries on Vanessa, on the mom. Both eventually pleaded guilty to the charge in 2023, but escaped jail. That's weird how they say it, escaped instead of like avoided. Anyway, following his arrest this month, Vanessa's mother, Margarita Avina, gave an emotional interview to the U.S. Sun about the granddaughter's terrifying ordeal. So this was posted a day ago, so this just came out. They blame my daughter, but Jake is the devil, Margarita claimed as she broke down in tears. And he gets away with murder. He got away with that. What he did to my granddaughter. The little girl, now 7 years old, was adopted by Vanessa's cousin along with another son. Riverside District Attorney Michael Hestring told a press conference earlier this week that the poor 7-year-old is permanently bedridden and has cerebral palsy as a result of long-term child abuse. So we'll go into what he was saying and things like that, and the judge and the penal codes and things like that. I went down a little rabbit hole with that too. This poor baby, it's been traumatizing, but I knew he would do it. Look what he did to my granddaughter. I hope he pays. He has destroyed lives. Although Vanessa eventually pleaded guilty, her mom claims she was abused by Jake and would never harm their child, insisting she wasn't in her right state of mind. My daughter is nothing compared to what they are saying, she said. It's very, very upsetting. It hurts. This, Jake's arrest, brings back everything that happened. I can't even sleep. I don't think my daughter was all there. He would tell her that nobody loved her. She was abused. So this is all the mom of Vanessa. My daughter would never touch her kids. She has another kid, a baby. You should see how she is with this kid. If the baby even has a scratch. My daughter's going through this, not having her children. She wanted her kids. Vanessa, through her mother, has declined to comment on the case and has allegedly hired a lawyer as she speaks to police about her experience with her ex. Oh, wow. Huh. A warrant from the 2018 incident alleges Vanessa had left her home to drop another child to school and returned 40 minutes later. Jay claimed the baby had a fever and he gave her a Tylenol, after which he put her down. So right here, promise. Missing him and Molly's her sister, Promise Faith, is sitting here in the wheelchair after she suffered severe abuse. We just skip these guys real quick. There's the memorial, the home. I'll see chat in a second, okay? I'm just reading right here on the page, and it's not come. Actually, let me see 1 second. Actually, yeah, I'll see in a minute. The document claims Jake eventually admitted to Vanessa that he had dropped the child in the sink and her chest hit the center divider of the dual basin, but she never showed any signs of injury. They allegedly went to bed hours later, but Vanessa then woke him up in the middle of the night claiming something was wrong with the baby. Okay, so she woke up. So she came back, went to bed, woke him up in the middle of the night. Okay. Margarita alleges that Jake only told Vanessa he dropped the baby after she woke him up. I got a call at 5 o'clock in the morning, and she says, Mom, I'm in the hospital. Oh, wow. The baby doesn't want to feed. She was breastfeeding. She said, Jake didn't want me to bring the baby. Wow. I think the baby was convulsing like a seizure, and that's when she called me. She's like, Mom, you need to come and take care of my kids. It's bad, Mom. Just come. I go over there. She called me again and said Jake had admitted to dropping the baby. I'm like, what? Why didn't he tell you that from the beginning? Jake switched and threatened her, said, I'm going to make sure they take your kids away and you die in jail. Jeez. When they went to the hospital in Hammond, the doctor said the baby had fractured bones. They took her to another hospital and I guess used fluorescent lights and saw marks on her neck and stuff like he shook the baby. When my daughter found all that out, she was like, what did you do to my baby? What did you do? She'd taken the baby to the doctors before because there were brown patches underneath her eyes and she didn't know what was wrong with her. But they said everything was fine. There was nothing wrong with her. Margarita claims she tried to get the previous medical records from the child for her court case, but could not obtain them. Oh, wow. Okay. She tried to get previous medical records for the child for the court case, but could not obtain them. Huh. It's interesting. The grandmother alleges Vanessa lived with her until she fell pregnant with her and Jake, first child, and she was unaware for months that they had secretly married. Okay. She said, I couldn't talk to her. I couldn't see her. He isolated her from the family. He didn't want her to work. She used to work in Walmart at the Vision Center. She was a good worker, and he met her there. Sometimes I would go visit her, and she wouldn't even open the door, so I didn't know if she was bruised or beat up. Excuse me. I would try to take food, and she would make excuses that they weren't home. Sometimes I blame myself. So she continues to say, opening old wounds. Margarita claims her daughter's story was never believed, and she eventually pleaded guilty and served community service and had to attend child endangerment classes. The grandmother said there were allowed visits. They were allowed visits to the children for a while, but they fell out with the cousins who adopted them and have not been for 2 years. Okay, adopted and have not been for 2 years. Margarita claims she was desperate to adopt them and bought a bigger house, thinking she would get them back. She said, we miss the children. My daughter's missing her kids. Margarita saw the interview of Jake appearing distressed on TV with his new wife, Rebecca, after their son went missing, but she said she didn't believe their story or fake tears. She said, I saw all that. I knew he was lying. He's a liar and a manipulator. This has opened old wounds. To me, I wouldn't want him to be sentenced to death. That's an easy way out. I want him to go to prison for the rest of his life. So Jake and Rebecca are each charged with felony murder with malice, along with an additional misdemeanor of charge of making a false police report. They remain in custody on a $1 million bail and have denied killing their son through jail interviews. See, they're still denying it. Their official arraignment is September 4th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. Again, I'm going to try to make it. Margarita says Vanessa, who has an older child from a previous relationship, along with her new baby, struggled to get her life back on track, but is now doing well. That's good. I talk to my daughter every day to see how she's doing, she said. Continue down here. She's got her own place and everything. She works again and has a new partner, her baby daddy, but she doesn't let anyone be with her kid. Oh, wow, that's sad. That's her right here with the son interviewed. I think that was it. Yeah, I think that was it. That's pretty interesting. This came out a day ago. I'll see who the reporter was that reported on this, so we can give her credit. All right, let's catch up on chat. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, huh? The interview with the ex-mother-in-law. In my opinion, yep. Just trying to catch up on chat. The system failed, yeah. Seems like it's failing all this. Because her daughter was drinking with her pregnancy. Vanessa was? Or which daughter are we talking about? How long were they together before she was pregnant? I'm not sure. I didn't see that in the article. Yeah, usually grandmothers have some good instincts. And he tried to blame Vanessa, so his ex-wife. Yeah, that was some heavy reading. I know a lot of people have hi Anna, welcome in. Hi Delulu. I forgot my train of thought. I'm not sure that's a good question. But I believe what happens is like he probably, something happened to him, or maybe some, I don't know. I just never know. I think that's why when they came out with the that he was a quarterback or something, or not a quarterback or a linebacker or something, like he played football. I think they were trying to insinuate that he had brain damage, from that. I caught that a little bit, but yeah, who knows? Let me share my screen. We're gonna go to the judge. Actually, let me find out who wrote that before I move on. I want to make sure I give credit to the reporter. Okay, yeah. So it was Katie Forster, assistant editor, and published 12:04 on August 30th, 2025. So that was just published yesterday. So we'll go over this right here about the judge. Again, it's probably something that you've already heard, but I'm just kind of going over it and catching up on it. And then the judge is saying, um, he made a statement. Just trying to share. Yeah, I'm gonna go into that if we have some time. True Crime Girl. I'm gonna go into the penal code, uh, what the DA brought forward, and yeah. So we'll see if we have time for that. Let me share my screen. In 2023, Jake pleaded guilty to so this one is from the Long Beach Post. In 2023, Jake pleaded guilty to willful child cruelty in a case involving his team 10-week. Give me a second. Let me grab some water real quick. Just talk amongst yourselves. Give me 1 second, okay? Yeah, see, this one's one from Long Beach Post. Okay, yeah, 2023, he was pleaded guilty to willful child cruelty in a case involving his 10-week-old daughter, Carolina Haro, who suffered a fractured skull, damaged spine, multiple broken bones, and other injuries, evidencing severe child abuse. At a court hearing on June 8, 2023, Superior Court Judge Dwight W. Moore suspended Jake Haro's 6-year prison sentence and granted probation instead. I'm giving you a chance, said Judge Moore. Don't mess it up. Good luck. It appeared from his comment at the time that Moore thought the threat of prison for any probation violation would be a deterrent for any further wrongdoing. And here he's quoted again: "We have hung a very large hammer over the defendant's head. You should have hit him with that hammer." He said, in my opinion, according to a transcript obtained by the Long Beach Post. We'll continue down here. The judge's decision was absolutely outrageous, Heston said at a Wednesday press conference. You guys heard that when he threw him under the bus. Mr. Haro should have been in prison. If that judge had done his job as he should have done, Emmanuel would be alive today. At the 2023 hearing, Deputy District Attorney Sam Taloa, District Attorney Deputy, okay. Let me write that down 1 second. Took issue with the lenient sentence, okay. Sam Taloa. Your Honor, I would just ask for the record to reflect that the people are objecting to this, said Taloa. This is based on the severity of the injuries as we discussed to the victim. On Wednesday, Judge Moore told the Long Beach Post that ethical rules prevent him from explaining why he granted probation to Jake Haro. What does that mean? I'm absolutely precluded from commenting publicly about the case, said Judge Moore, who acknowledged that the controversy caught him by surprise. Really? In 18 years, this is the first time I've been taken to task in this manner about a decision I've made. Here's yours truly. Judge Moore, who spent 26 years in the San Bernardino County DA's office before being appointed to the bench in 2007 by then Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, retired from full-time service in 2021, but has continued to handle temporary judicial assignments. The fate of 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro has drawn nationwide attention since his mother, Rebecca Haro, reported to the police on August 14th that an unknown man kidnapped her baby from the parking lot of a Big Five store in Yucaipa. I don't think I'm saying that right. While she was changing his diaper. I was going to get the diaper and somebody said, hola. I don't remember anything since. Rebecca told a TV report from KTL5. The day after the purported kidnapping, I woke up here on the floor and I didn't see Emmanuel. Okay. At Wednesday press conference, said San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dicus said that within 24 hours through video surveillance, we found inconsistency in Rebecca's statement. If you guys saw my live, I walked that strip where the Big Five is and spotted a bunch of cameras out there. So be interesting to see which ones captured what. On Tuesday, Jake and Rebecca Haro were arraigned in Riverside County Superior Court on charges that they murdered baby Emmanuel and on misdemeanor charges of filing a false police report. You grab some water. DA Hestron said authorities have evidence that Emmanuel was killed in Riverside County, which is why charges were filed there rather than San Bernardino. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Where Rebecca Haro reported her. Oh, I see. Yeah, I see what they're saying. Instead of where the kidnapping was, so they think it was he was killed somewhere else. Well, in Riverside. We believe Emmanuel was severely abused over a period of time, said Hestron. Hestron also said that Carolina Haro was left permanently bedridden by the willful child cruelty of that of her father, Jake Haro, committed, and that Judge Moore made an outrageous error in judgment in granting him probation in 2023. Meanwhile, outside the house in Cabazon, where Jake and Rebecca Haro lived with baby Emmanuel, people have been posting signs, candles, and demanding answers. Yeah, as you saw. Cynthia Verrete, a resident of Hemet, where Jake Haro lived with a prior wife when newborn Carolina was battered, said the system failed baby Emmanuel. Because the dad has a history of abuse, he should not have been allowed to be around the baby, said Verrete as she stood by a sign reading, "Where's the baby?" Although authorities believe Emmanuel Haro was murdered, we don't know exactly where the remains are, the DA Hestron said on Wednesday. There we go. Let me exit this out, and then I'll see who wrote this. So yeah, just catching up on everything. Make sure you guys hit the like, sub, share, please. And so this was by Doug Kari. So this one came out August 28, 2025, the Long Beach Post. Yeah, that's what it seemed, right? Like he threw that in there to kind of plant the seed that he has CTI. Yeah, I caught that. I don't trust Bianco or the DA, just my opinion. Bianco. Yeah, I got that wrong too. So apparently, True Crime Girl says apparently Jake has 2 attorneys and Rebecca has 1 too. Yeah, that is true. The system failed, in my opinion. Instead of pointing blame on one judge, they should have looked at the severity of injuries, promise, and dirt. Yeah, we're gonna go over that too because it's mind-boggling. Hey, popping in to say hi. Not home right now, but we'll be in a bit. Sounds good. Excuse me. Indian taco. Excuse me. And good to see you. I kind of went over it pretty quick because I know it's been out for a day or two, and in the news that's like old news. So I went through that pretty quickly just to catch up on the. If my True Crime Girl says, "Here's my question: if they don't know where the remains are, how can they file in whichever county they don't have a baby? How can they say he was murdered?" I've just been thinking about these things. Yeah, I mean they could do a no body conviction. California has a pretty good record of that. think the last one was in 2006 or something like that. I have to look at it again. They also scolded Rebecca about the press conference, but now because of that press conference, Rebecca had this case is national. Yeah, yep. The Barbara Streisand effect, kind of. TCG because a 7-month-old baby can't just run away and there's no evidence of what was claimed. Yeah, that's another thing too. Is like you know, that's what the DA was saying. You know, that the 7-month baby Emmanuel didn't just go out for a walk, you know, and got lost. It just didn't happen. So that's true. All right. So yeah, that was from the Sun and Long Beach Post. All right, so we're caught up on that. So I kind of just wanted to go over the penal code and from that last charge that Jake got. True Crime Girl. So why are they saying they know where the remains are there? They haven't been any more searches except for that day that I know of. That text me off, or probably ticks me off. I think they're playing games. I'm not sure. I mean, from what the article was saying is that the DA said they don't know where the remains are, but it's like wordplay, right? It's like if I believe something, it doesn't mean that I know it's true. It's just I believe it. So I think that's where you know the wording gets muddled a little bit, in my opinion. So we're gonna look at the penal code, and this has been largely debated online, and we'll go over it right here, and we'll shine some more light into it from what we already have. Top Dog, he's one of our mods, or she, I don't know, is one of our mods and brought this up. Yeah, they say they have a good idea, you know, an idea. So from what has been reported, Jake Haro was charged under California Penal Code subsection 273A, child abuse endangerment. Penal Code 273AA is the felony form when someone willfully causes or permits a child to suffer unjustified pain or places a child in a situation where the health and safety are endangered. It carries a maximum penalty up to 6 years in state prison. So that's what he was charged under, is Penal Code 273AA, and that's from the district attorney, Mike Hestring. Or let me take that. Let me back up a little bit. It was from Talo, right? Because she objected, unless they were working hand in hand. But I'll look at that again. Either way, that's what it was presented to the judge. Was Penal Code 273AA. Okay, so this is a separate form of Penal Code 273AB. The first one was 273AA. 273AB, assault on a child under 8 causing death, which carries 25 to life. Prosecutors did not charge him with 273AB or murder, at least at this stage, since Emmanuel Oh, see, they got this wrong. So that's probably from, yeah, scratch that. But that is the Penal Code 273AB. That was a different one. That one's 25 to life. Okay, yeah. So why was his sentence so lenient? So Judge Moore sentenced Haro to 6 years, but then suspended that prison term and instead put him on probation. So probation eligibility. So yeah, so that's what it was. So the penal code, he was charged under Penal Code 273AA, right? That one carries a 6-year maximum prison sentence. So they're saying that it's a wobbler, meaning it can be treated as a felony or as a misdemeanor. Judges have a broad discretion. In Haro's case, Moore may have leaned towards rehabilitation rather than incarceration. So plea deal considerations too, and this goes towards why the sentence was lenient. Plea deal considerations. It's possible Haro entered a plea into agreement where he pleaded guilty or no contest to reduce or specify charges, which limited the sentencing range. So the DA was saying that he threw himself onto the court and pleaded with the court, not the DA, is what he was saying. Lack of prior record. If Haro had little or no serious criminal history, the court may have seen probation as acceptable. So, and then judicial discretion and controversy. So the Judge Moore had discretion to suspend the prison term. This is where the controversy comes in. Many observers feel probation was far too light, given the it was just too light. So yeah, so he was charged under 273A, child cruelty endangerment. Although he technically could have received a 6-year prison, which was the maximum, which he should have got, the judge suspended it and gave him probation instead, likely due to plea negotiations, judicial discretionary, and evidentiary challenges. Yeah, so that's. Yeah, I mean, even if, okay, I get it. The DA brought in that for a 6-year max. I mean, he still could have gotten a 6-year prison sentence, right? And the 25 to life, that was that other charge with the not AA but AB. And I'm wondering if the grandmother didn't get the medical records in time, right? I mean, but what about pictures and things, right? That's where I'm having trouble with this. Is like, why didn't the DA brought? On one hand, why didn't the DA brought the bigger charge, which was the 273AB, which carries 25 to life, given that we've seen the circumstances, right? And he was charged with 273AA, and so maybe maybe what happened was they were blaming each other, right? So it's like a he said, she said. I could see that too. Yeah. See, but I'm wondering too, I'm wondering if, why, if they were having trouble, because of their statements, he said, she said, he's blaming Vanessa, his ex-wife, right? Yeah, forever. See, that's where I'm coming from. Is like, why didn't they present that evidence? Why didn't they present that evidence? Even the pictures and things like that. Did they have trouble, the he said she said type, trying to put it on somebody, pin it on somebody. But yeah, I don't know. And then the charge, and then okay, that was the DA, just didn't follow through that, right? Okay, so then the judge, he could have still gave him 6 years. So he didn't. He just gave him probation. You see, so it's like both parties were like trying to figure it out, but ultimately, the judge could have sentenced him to 6 years, right? But then the DA also could have charged him with something greater. So I mean, my opinion, I think they both had a little part in it. Now that we see what comes to light, the charges and things like that. Yeah, definitely. It definitely is. Fingers are being pointed. Um, so yeah, I guess it was towards more like rehabilitation. He didn't have a prior record. Um, he said he told this story. Oh, the baby fell. I mean, you can't really see the future to what he's going to do. Like Minority Report. Yeah, it's a shame. You grab some more water. You're forgetting I'm muted. Yeah, that was a lot of stuff to digest. Um, reading what the Jake's ex mother-in-law was saying. That was pretty heartbreaking. And then seeing what the judge's background in that case, the prior case. We also We also looked earlier on the earlier live. We saw like this video of like the landfill. It's pretty interesting too. You know, like what goes out there. And there was a case. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick, where they found a baby in the landfill. Let me see. Indian Taco, she shout out to you for sending me the video. It's Louise, if you want to post that link up, that one you were talking about, you can, because we're towards the end of the live stream. Just trying to catch up. I'm wondering if there was any other news, but that was the newest news so far, right? Oh yeah, Quentin Simon, that one too. They found Quentin Simon. Yeah, they found him in the landfill. Let's see if I can play that. Okay, take care. Let's see if I can play that. Hopefully it works. Last time it crashed, so that's why I want to do this towards the end, you know, just in case it crashes. My laptop. It's just a 7-minute video, but it's pretty powerful. Let me share my screen. Let me know if you can hear it. I had some issues earlier with the volume or with the sound.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
My name is Sophia Zerke.
That is the last name that I'm going to have to ask you to spell.
Zurkee.
And I take
Michael on?
I take it you're a Chatham County police officer.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been with the Chatham County Police?
I have been with the Chatham County Police Department since September of 2021.
Did you work at any other police departments prior to joining the Chatham County Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Where was that?
The Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office in Kansas.
Okay. How'd you end up coming here from Kansas?
I moved here. Being in law enforcement, it's a very stressful job. So Georgia offers a lot to do outside of work, the ocean, the beach. So it's very beautiful here.
Now you're here today because you're the first person to find a piece of equipment, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, I'd like to show you slide 8 from State's Exhibit 3, which has already been admitted into evidence. This has been introduced and admitted into evidence as a still frame from Sergeant Stewart's body-worn camera from the initial response to 535 Buckhalter Road. on October 5th. Is that you there?
Yes, sir, it is.
Was this your beat that you were patrolling that day or no?
It was not. I was in beat 8 that day. This is considered beat 7.
And how did you end up there?
When there's a missing child, time is of the essence. So it's all hands on deck at that point. So I went over to assist with the search.
And on this day, were you involved in canvassing the neighborhood or the woods or something like that, looking for Quentin?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair to say that you started looking for Quentin initially on October 5th,
Yes, sir.
day 1? Later, did you become involved in the search at the landfill?
Yes, sir.
How did you become involved in that?
I asked to be a volunteer to help.
Had you heard, I presume you had heard that this was a thing that was about to start happening.
Correct.
How did you hear about it?
Our department.
And were they soliciting like department-wide for volunteers or what?
I can't recall on that. I just know they asked us to be some extra hands to help.
And you volunteered, you say?
Yes, sir.
Why is that?
Being one of the first on scene, I wanted to see it through and to help in any way that I could.
And going forward from that, were you involved as a searcher at the landfill?
Yes, sir.
What day did you start on? Not necessarily the date, but like, was it the first day of the landfill search?
Yes, I was there for the first day.
And were you involved throughout?
Yes.
Was there any day that search operation was going on that you weren't there?
No, sir.
Could you have gotten out of it at some point if you had wanted to?
Yes.
What was that like doing that for, I don't know, 5 weeks or whatever it was?
It was a lot. It was mentally, emotionally, and physically draining every single day.
Now, I'd like to draw your attention to November 18, 2022, the day that Quentin was found out there. What do you remember about the morning?
From what I can recall, it was like every other morning it started out. We have a briefing, kind of talk about how the day is going to go. We get ready when we start searching. Would you like me to kind of go through, our attire, be more specific in that aspect? Or
No, we've had that with a previous
Okay.
witness. So I guess let me ask you this. In the morning, was it a normal day?
Yes, sir.
What do you remember about the point where it became not a normal day?
I was just breaking through the garbage, and then I had observed a white small object could fit in the palm of my hand. It looked like bone to me. So I remember seeing my Lieutenant Foster, because they were all on the side, and contacting him, and they came over and removed it.
I'd like to approach with what's been introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit 77.
And 77 has been admitted. Is that correct?
It has, Judge.
Okay.
That was the one.
Can you look through here and tell me if you recognize the object that you're describing?
Yes, I do.
Is that it on the first page there?
Yes, sir.
Can you pull this out and display it to the jury, please?
Yes. This is the object that I was talking about.
What do you remember happening from there?
I just remember notifying my lieutenant and then coming over and collecting it.
And then after that?
We continued to search.
And did you yourself find any more items of note?
I don't recall, because really any items that we found that we thought were potentially bones, we would put in the buckets for them to collect and to get tested. So whether or not specifically I found any other items that were tested.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing for you to
Right.
answer. Let me ask you this. After having been out there for weeks, going through line after line, tell me what it felt like to see that little piece of Quentin's skull and pick it up and realize what it was.
It was heartbreaking.
Was it rewarding also? I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Yeah, there was another one too I wanted to look at where there I mean they were where they went over the landfill, you know, to kind of tie in where you know, people were saying that maybe Baby and Manolito will, you know, could be in the landfill. But there was a video. I'm gonna see if I can try to find it real quick. And it shows like the lengths they went to search the landfill. I mean, it was just extensive. So let me see if I can look for it real quick. Okay, yeah. Here I found one too that I watched after Indian Taco sent me this.
Tonight, disturbing new details revealed about the death of Quentin Simon. The prosecutor is officially responding to the defense attorney's motions to throw out parts of that indictment. WJCL 22 News' Andy Cole has been following the story since the very beginning, joining us now in the studio with the very latest. And Andy, she wants some charges thrown out.
Greg, that's right. Back in March, the defense tried to throw out 3 murder charges and 4 of the false statement charges. They did it by filing 2 demurs. Today, the state responded to those claims, sharing new details about Quentin's gruesome demise. For the first time, we're learning more about the final moments of 20-month-old Quentin Simon's life. In the response to Leilani Simon's special demur, the state outlined what happened after Leilani allegedly threw Quentin's body into a trailer park dumpster. Hours after throwing Quentin's body away, a garbage truck came, lifted the trash, and dumped it into a compactor inside the truck. When the load arrives at the landfill, it's dumped on the ground and a bulldozer shoves the garbage 300 feet into different cells. Quote, "This is not a neat process," prosecutors write in their response. They say it requires multiple sweeps by the bulldozers that shove, spread, and smear the contents. Once at the cell, prosecutors say Quentin's body was then compacted again by a 50-ton steamroller. Quote, "All of which is to say Quentin's body went through a lot. By the time the expert searchers found him after looking for more than a month, his body had undergone severe trauma and decomposition. And it wasn't in just one place. Prosecutors say he was dispersed across the landfill. Quote, a bone here, a tissue there." The basis of Leilani's demur for the murder charges is that the state wasn't specific enough in their indictment, but the state argues that an indictment can only be as specific as the evidence. With his body in pieces, prosecutors admit no cause of death has been determined or likely ever will.
Taking the trash out to the curb is a weekly tradition in Riverside County. But do you know where that trash ends up? It goes on quite a journey, but ultimately ends up in a landfill like Lamb Canyon in Beaumont. In this virtual tour, we'll show you the ins and outs of Lamb Canyon and give you a bird's eye view, literally, of how waste is managed. But before we make our way through the landfill, let's rewind a bit back to the curb. Trash is picked up by a waste hauler and then most likely goes to a transfer station. While a normal garbage truck can carry 10 to 12 tons of trash, these larger transfer trucks can haul upwards of 20 tons of trash. For reference, that's equivalent to 7 elephants. Those transfer trucks are loaded up and make the trip to a local landfill like Lamb Canyon, where the public is also able to drop off materials. The first thing you'll see as you enter Lamb Canyon is a small booth and scales. This structure is a crucial part of the landfill for both trash trucks and the public. That building is called the fee booth, and the scales on the ground play an important role. Loads are weighed coming into the landfill and exiting the site, with the difference amounting to how much material is dropped off and the cost for doing so. The fee booth isn't just about weight, but type of material too. Our employees will learn a bit about what's being dropped off.
What type of trash you bringing in?
It's all just wood.
What type of wood? Like tree wood, fence wood, lumber?
Depending on the material and the type of customer, the next steps can be different, as you can see from the sign. Smaller loads that the public brings in will likely go to our waste recycle park, where certain materials will be sorted. While normal refuse will be collected, large appliances, electronic waste, and scrap metals will be set aside, and even old mattresses will be recycled. The Waste Recycle Park also features our ABOP site, where antifreeze, batteries, oil, and paint can be dropped off for free. It's crucial to keep those materials out of the landfill, and they should never be put in your trash bin. So now that we know a bit about the Waste Recycle Park, it's time to go where the rubber really meets the road, the active pad. This is the final destination for everything you put in your trash bin. Those large transfer trucks, guided by a landfill safety monitor, will deposit refuse in specific lanes. As the trash piles up, the Department of Waste Resources uses heavy equipment to bury that trash. But it's not a random process or a simple hole in the ground. Instead, it's a highly engineered system that follows a plan, as buried trash is formed into cells and lifts. The landfill itself is equipped with a multi-layered liner system. This liner also includes long lines of perforated piping. As the landfill breaks down, liquid and gas are formed. Piping at the bottom collects the liquid, and piping throughout the landfill collect landfill gas. We want to make sure that gas doesn't just escape and go into the atmosphere. Instead, the piping pulls in the gas and directs it to our methane flare station where it's burned off. Engineering technicians in the field use technology to ensure that the flare system is working at an optimal level and the techs can track down any leaks in the line and repair them quickly. We don't just monitor air and gas at the landfill, but water too. Technicians are constantly taking samples from wells, not only at active landfills like Lamb Canyon, but closed landfills across the county. As you can see, we rely on our staff to keep the landfill in working order, but that staff isn't just comprised solely of humans. This is Ice. She's a Harris hawk, and her job is an important one as well. If you've ever been to the beach in summer, you know that seagulls are drawn to trash. So it didn't take long for them to figure out a landfill could be a buffet. The birds aren't just a nuisance, they're a health hazard known to carry dangerous pathogens. That's where Ice comes in. Paired with a handler, Ice flies over the active pad, and because she's a natural predator to the seagulls, as soon as they see her, they clear the area. It allows our staff to bury waste more efficiently. Each day, at the close of business, those mammoth machines apply a cover to all of the waste deposited that day, and then pull a tarp over the fresh layer of dirt. So that's how the trash you toss in your bin ends up in a landfill, a system that includes dedicated employees and plenty of sophisticated tech.
But yeah, that was the full rundown of that. That's why we're looking at that other case for a second, because of the landfill mentioned. But yeah, that's all I got for you right now for today. Probably go hiking later. But yeah, that's all I got for today. So thank you everybody for joining me. Appreciate it. Hit that like, sub, share. And for the replay crew, same thing. If you guys could do me that favor. So thank you everybody for joining in to me. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.